Everyone's out here doing power rankings of new commanders, but I like ranking how fun they are. You can find a list of all my tiers down in the video description below with explanations for them. I try to put them in the intro, but no one wants to listen to that. So instead, we're going to jump right into it. First up, we have Air Aang Nomad. Did I say that backwards? Aang Air Nomad. I might have said that backwards. 5 mana, 5/4 human avatar ally, flying vigilance, and other creatures you control have vigilance. This is a fine commander. It's not really that interesting to me. It seems like a great support piece. This is definitely a fun in the 99 commander. Next up is Aang Airbending Master. It's a 5 mana 4/4 human avatar ally. When they enter, airbend another target creature. So when you airbend it, you exile it, and while it's exiled, its owner may cast it for 2 generic rather than its mana cost. Whenever one or more creatures you control leave the battlefield without dying, you get an experience counter. So if you airbend your creatures, you get an experience counter. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you create a 1/1 white ally creature token for each experience counter you have. So this is one of the few, I think I would put in the fun tier, maybe in wanna build for mono commanders. I like the experience counter theme. You can add some proliferation in white. There's not a ton, but I think there's a little bit. It's also great in the 99 of a deck. I'm going to put this in the could be fun tier. Yeah, I'm going to put this in could be fun. Next up is Appa Steadfast Guardian. 4 mana 3/4 Bison ally, flash flying. When Appa enters, airbend any number of other target non-land permanents you control. And whenever you cast a spell from exile, you create a 1/1 white ally creature token. My first thought when I read this was to build like a Cascade deck, but there are not any mono white cards that have Cascade. I think the only Cascade cards that fit in white are like colorless. So you couldn't do that, and same thing with like Discover. This is a really good support piece in an ally deck or in an airbending deck. I mean, it is still like solid as a standalone commander, but I'm going to put this in the could be fun tier. I'm not going to say it's not fun because I think it is interesting, but it's definitely a potentially fun commander. Next up is Appa the Vigilant. It's a 7 mana 6/6 Bison ally, flying vigilance. Whenever Appa or another ally you control enters, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain flying and vigilance until end of turn. This is a quintessential support piece for any ally deck. It's like a white Crater Hoof almost. I wouldn't want to play this as a standalone 7 mana commander. I'd rather play this as a finisher in an ally deck. So for that, it's going to go into fun in the 99. Next up is Hakoda Selfless Commander. 4 mana 3/5 human ally warrior. Vigilance, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast ally spells from the top of your library. Sacrifice Hakoda, creatures you control get +0/+5 and gain indestructible until end of turn. So this is another could be fun commander. I love casting spells from the top of your deck. And if we go back to the first Aang, it's Appa rather. It's from Exile. So it unfortunately doesn't work with Appa, but casting enough allies from the top of your deck is like drawing a card essentially whenever you do that. However, there aren't enough, I think, good mono white allies, aside from a lot of the Avatar cards we're going over, to make this deck really work. So I'm going to put this as fun in the 99, maybe in the could be fun tier. It's like in the borderline there. Next up is Jet Rebel Leader. 4 mana 3/4 human rebel ally. Whenever Jet attacks, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Sorry about that, folks. I've been a little sick, so just taking a water break. This kind of reminds me of Winota, but in mono white, so you can't do quite as many degenerate things. I like that it has to attack, so it's not just whenever you attack. It's all 3 mana creatures, which is really cool. I'm going to put this in the fun tier. Probably the bottom end of it, because I'm sure there are going to be some sick combos you can do with this. But I'm definitely, I think I'm going to put this at the bottom of the fun tier. Next up is Momo Friendly Flyer. It's a 1 mana 1/1 Lemur Bat ally that is flying. And the first non-lemur creature spell with flying you cast during each of your turns costs 1 less to cast. And then whenever another creature you control with flying enters, Momo gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So I like this card, not as a commander, unfortunately. This definitely goes right into the fun in the 99. You could maybe build mono white flyers, and I like that it's non-lemur creature spells with flying. So it's just a little kind of flavorful. I like the card. I think it's cute. I will be skull clamping it. Definitely a fun in the 99 card though. Next up is Monk Gyatso, a 4 mana 3/3 human monk. Whenever another creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability, You may airbend that creature. So I don't think they've learned from Nadu. Now, thankfully, this isn't quite as good as Nadu, obviously, as a Nadu fan, which is, I know, unheard of. Monk Yatsu is thankfully also not standard legal, but this is an incredibly powerful card, and I definitely want to build this. I do want to like lead into the combo, and I understand that I said power isn't always fun, but in this case, I just want to try this out. You can go infinite pretty easily with enough cost reductions or like one semblance anvil, and a card like Shuko or Nomad's Encore. Tons of options. Definitely a want to build commander for me. I'll probably play it like one time and be like, all right, I'm good. Next up is Sokka Swordmaster. 3 mana 3/3 human warrior ally vigilance. Equipment spells you cast cost 1 less for each ally you control, so that's pretty good. At the beginning of combat on your turn, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to Sokka. So a good like mono white equipment commander that benefits from going wide with allies. Now, I don't think there are any equipment in the set that make ally tokens like we have with, there's the one card from like, it's like March the Machine Commander that makes like 1/1 forest creatures when you attack, or the Reaver Cleaver for treasures, but like I wish we had something like that makes allies. I know that probably wouldn't be on theme. I would put this in the fun tier. I don't know how often the ally you control reduction is going to help, but I mean, it does give you your like Shadow Spears for free, Swiftfoot Boots for 1, Lightning Greaves, I think for 0. So like even just him like will reduce the cost of equipment, and you're usually playing pretty cheap equipment anyways, so that does help even if you have only like a few other allies in your deck. Next up is Suki Courageous Rescuer. 3 mana 2/4 human warrior ally. Other creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever another permanent you control leaves the battlefield during your turn, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. This ability only triggers once each turn. So when I first read this, I was definitely interested in it. And then I got to the last bar of text that it's only once each turn, which is just not great. Notably, it says once each turn, but it also says during your turn. So there's like 2 qualifiers that it's only once and only during your turn. If it was only once each turn, I would be more okay with it because you can do it, enough times like every cycle of the table, but you can't. So for that, this is going to go into the fun in the 99. All right, next up is Suki Kyoshu Captain. 3 mana 3/3 human warrior ally. A lot of allies in this set, obviously. Other warriors you control get +1/+1, and then you can pay 3 and a white. Attacking warriors you control gain double strike until end of turn. Great in an ally deck if you have a lot of ally warriors. Great in a warrior deck. I don't know if I would play this as a mono white warriors commander. This is a fun in the 99 card. Next up is Katara Waterbending Master. A 2 mana 1/3 human warrior ally. Whenever you cast a spell during your opponent's turn, you get an experience counter. Whenever Katara attacks, you may draw a card for each experience counter you have. If you do, discard a card. So I'm interested in this card. I'm going to put this in fun. Obviously, you can do like counterspell stuff, which is probably a little less fun. So maybe I'll put this in could be fun. But you also have options just like brainstorm, consider, opt, right? Like all these like cheap blue instant speed cantrips just to get experience counters. There are instant speed ways to proliferate also, which is great. So you can keep getting more experience counters. I also like this in the 99 of a experience deck. So like Mizzix, Niv Mizzix, whatever, Mizzix of the Ismagus, the blue-red one. I love this in the 99 of that deck because you'll be getting experience counters through other means, and then you'll be casting instants and sorceries on other people's turns usually. And then when this comes down, if you can give it haste, you can potentially draw, like refill your hand with a bunch of spells and then keep comboing off. So I think this is a could be fun commander, definitely fun in the 99, and definitely if you have experience counters. Next up is the Blue Spirit. 4 mana 2/4 human rogue ally. You may cast the first creature spell you cast each turn as though it had flash. Whenever a non-token creature you control enters during combat, draw a card. So this is kind of like a ninja, right? Where it's or like you want like ninjutsu kind of, because you want stuff to enter during combat. And I love that even if it enters on combat during your opponent's turn, you still get to draw a card, so you can be cute with like flash blockers. Even if your cards don't have flash, being able to cheat in even like cheap blue blockers that just like prevent you from getting hit for like 5 with no trample or flashing in like a 1 mana 0/5 turtle just to stop some trample damage. I think that's fun. I'm gonna put this. This is tough. I think I'm gonna put this in the fun tier. I like the design of the card. I like non-token creatures entering during combat to draw a card. So you're incentivized. If you can go infinite with this, you can like just draw your deck, but you have to be able to play enough creatures at instant speed during combat. So there's enough of a restriction there to, if you do that combo, is actually a little bit more interesting than just repeatedly casting creatures. So yeah, this is definitely top of fun. Close to wanna build, but yeah, it's definitely a fun commander. Next up is the Mechanist Aerial Artisan, 3 mana 1/3 human artificer ally. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, make a clue. And then you can tap until end of turn, target artifact, token you control becomes a 3/1 construct artifact creature with flying. So kind of like a Forensic Gadgeteer from Murders at Karlov Manor, except you're not investigating, you're just making the clue, which there's a distinction in terms of cards that care about that. And it's also non-creature, not just artifacts. You're going to build this as an artifact commander, most likely, where you're playing Mishra's Baubles and Urza's Baubles to get clues. This is a could-be fun commander for me. I've never super enjoyed, like, mono blue artifact commanders. This is great because I love the clues, and I like this in Constructor, like 1v1 formats. But as a commander, I think it's just a little narrow, but I'm open to being proven wrong. This is going to go into the could-be fun tier. Next up is the Terror of Serpent's Pass. It's a 7 mana 8/8 serpent, has hexproof. That's it. Fun in the 99. I don't have much to say about this. The art's good. The flavor's cool, I guess. It goes into a sea serpent deck. Next up is the Unagi of Kyoshi Island. 5 mana 5/5 serpent, flash, ward, waterbend 4. So it's basically ward 4 or like convoke. It's really, I like the ward cost being waterbend. It's a little interesting. And then whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw 2 cards. So you can flash this in from the command zone if your opponents are drawing a lot of cards, and you get to draw 2. Now it's whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn. So if you have 3 opponents who each draw their second card, you draw 6. That's pretty good. I think I like this more in the 99 though, of like another skin, a Sea Serpent deck or just like a mono blue tempo deck, where you're able to flash this in and it not be so telegraphed from the command zone. So I'm gonna put this in the fun in the 99. Next up is Tai and La, Moon and Ocean. I've watched the show, I should know these names. 4 mana 3/3 Fish Spirit. Whenever they become tapped, draw a card, and whenever they become untapped, you put a +1/+1 counter on them. So just looking at this, I'm sure there's an infinite combo in here. Just Intruder Alarm, this, and something whenever you draw a card, make a token to untap it. So I'm going to put these in the could be fun tier just because I know there's immediately some combos with them. I do really like the art, and if you want to build a fish deck or a spirit deck, these are probably just solid includes. I like them in, yeah, I think like fish and spirits are just like mono blue decks. As a commander though, like this will just kind of go infinite with a ham sandwich. So could be fun. Next up is TLE Chi Blocker. 3 mana 2/1 human performer ally. Has flash, prowess. When TLE enters, tap up to 1 target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's untap step for as long as you control TLE. This is a quintessential like limited card. It's going to be fun in the 99. I like the flavor. I like the art. It is not going into, it's not going at the helm of any deck for me. I will be surprised to see this as a commander. I'm sure some people are going to do it. I'm just not that interested in it, and I don't think it'd be a super fun commander. So fun in the 99 it goes. Next up is Wan Shi Tong, All Knowing. 5 mana, 4/4 bird, spirit with flying. When it enters, target non-land permanent owner puts it into their library second from the top or bottom. And then whenever 1 or more cards are put into a library from anywhere, create 2 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens with these tokens can't be blocked or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. This token can't block or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. So my first thought was Sensei's Divining Top with this thing, where you can either make a copy of Sensei's Divining Top with like Phyrexian Metamorph, enough cost reduction or enough infinite mana, or like an Ashnod's Altar. You can just keep spinning Phyrexian Metamorph in top. And if you have Ashnods or like KCI, not really, KCI probably doesn't quite work. But like Ashnod's Altar and a sack outlet like that, you can just keep spinning top back on top and then Phyrexian Metamorph into top. You can go infinite with this like several different ways. I really do like this though. Well, I said you like there is an infinite with it. This is an interesting effect that we haven't really seen before about carrying like tucking cards. Now you could tuck your opponent's stuff, you could tuck your stuff. So there's a lot of versatility. I'm gonna put this in the fun tier with the caveat I'm happy to be wrong about like how fun this actually is in paper. If you've played with this or have seen it, let me know your thoughts definitely in the comment section. This is a hard one to judge. Next up is Wan Shi Tong Librarian. It's X blue blue for a 1/1 bird spirit, flash flying vigilance. When they enter, put X+1/+1 counters on him, then draw half X cards rounded down. And then whenever an opponent searches their library, put a +1/+1 counter on Wan Shi Tong and draw a card. Instant blue staple and commander. This is a card that scales really nicely with the power of your table. So if you have a lot of fetch lands and a lot of searching, this card's going to be really good. If your meta is very like battle cruisery and doesn't do a ton of searching, it'll still be very good, but not quite as good. If you want a landfall deck that won't ever shuffle, check out my shuffless landfall deck down in the video description below, where this card does nothing against that deck because you literally never shuffle. Now, as a commander, I'm going to put this in for casual EDH, not CDH. I'm going to put this to the fun in the 99. I think it could, maybe could be a fun commander, but I'm more excited to play with this in the 99 of decks rather than as a commander of a deck. So yeah, I'm going to put this in the fun in the 99. That's just my personal preference. I'm sure people are going to build some crazy decks with this. I can see like mono blue land destruction or just ways to like keep tucking creatures. Tucking creatures is the other card. Mono blue land destruction is what I was thinking with this card, but that's because I'm a monster. Next up is Yue the Moon Spirit. 4 mana 3/3 Spirit Ally, Flying Vigilance, has Waterbend 5 and tap. You may cast a non-creature spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. Okay. This is going to be a could be fun commander because obviously you can just cast cards like Omniscience with it or a non-creature spell. So I almost said Evercool, but I learned my lesson from the Peter Parker card because it said how to be colors, and I said Eldrazi. So this is Omniscience style effects that let you then cast Emrakul or Eldrazi or just like big spells for free. So depending on how like what you put in the deck will kind of I think determine how fun of a card this is. If it's you're deciding at random just to kind of keep it interesting or a random pile of non-creatures you want to put in, sick. If you're comboing or putting in the same big finishers each turn or each game, could be fun commander for me. All right, next up is Azula Ruthless Firebender. It's a 3 mana 3/3 human noble with firebending 1. So quick rules note in case maybe you're newer to Magic or you just don't know. The red mana symbol on Azula is reminder text, not rules text. So she is actually a mono black commander, which means you cannot put red cards in this deck. Same thing with like Extort, where it has like the Orzhov hybrid. Those are usually whatever color the card is, not including that mana symbol. Just a quick rules note, you'll see a couple other Azulas you'll see one other Azula that looks Grixis is actually Dimir. Firebending 1, so whenever this creature attacks, add red. This mana lasts until the end of combat. Also notably, Firebending is not a mana ability, it is a triggered ability that uses a stack. You can copy it, you can stifle it. Whenever Azula attacks, you may discard a card. Then you get an experience counter for each player who discarded a card this turn. So if you attack and discard a card, 1 experience counter. If you make your opponent's discard, which you don't always want to do in terms for like fun reasons, she will also get an experience counter. Now, if you play Wheels, Wheel of Fortune, or Magus, I think there's Magus of the Wheel, and then you attack, you can then get up to 4 experience counters, because if everyone wheels, it's 4. It's not for each card. Then 2 in a red until end of turn, Azula gets +1/+1 for each experience counter you have and gains menace. So again, another commander that is just really good with existing experienced commanders already. So I could see this maybe not like in a Marin deck, but there's the Baldur's Gate one, Minthara, that like cares about experience counters. So I like that. I like this as a Mono black commander, maybe. It's like mono black discard, and firebending one's like kind of weak. I'm gonna put this in the fun in the 99. I don't know how I feel about this card. It's hard judging like how fun this would actually be, because well, yes, she gets big and gets menace, which is like good flavor. She'll definitely knock someone out of the game. I don't know how I'd want to build this at first glance. Put this. I'm gonna put this at the bottom of could be fun because I'm unsure. That might be a cop out, but I'm sure people are gonna have builds of this that I look at and I'm like, oh, that's actually interesting. I just can't think of any right now. So let me know in the comments how you would build Azula Ruthless Firebender. Next up is Ko the Face Dealer, a 6-mana 6/6, which is great because it can go into Colossal Dreadmaw, Tribal, Shapeshifter Spirit. It enters. When it enters, exile up to one other target creature. Whenever another non-token creature dies, you may exile it. You can pay 1 life, choose a card exiled with Ko. Ko has all activated and triggered abilities of the last chosen card. So when I first read this, I was thinking you can do like a persist trick with it, where if you sacrifice it and bring it back. The issue is I don't believe the cards exiled with it originally persist, like if it comes back, right? So it's like, because this is a new game object, so it's not exiled with those copies of Ko. So I don't think that works how I would like it to. However, I do still think this is a fun commander. It is definitely going to be a graveyard, like big black mana combo commander, kind of like Mikaeus the Unhallowed, but you actually have to pay life to like switch between abilities, so you need a way of giving it lifelink, which isn't like too hard. If you're doing like a walking ballista kind of combo with it, it can protect itself if you have a persist or undying creature, where if it is going to die, you can just pay the life to have it come back. So that is like pretty cool. I think this is, I'm gonna put this in the fun tier. That might be a hot take. I think this card is interesting and gets like brewing juices going. There's probably some easy combos with it, but it's fun. Next up is my Scornful Striker. It is a 2-mana 2/2 human noble ally with first strike. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, they lose 2 life. So if you want to build mono black all creatures, now's your chance. In Commander, 2 life is not as much obviously as it is in 1v1 Magic, where it's only 5% of your total life instead of 10. That being said, chip damage like this is undervalued in Commander because people will be like, I have plenty of life to work with, and then they'll look and they'll be at 22, right? They took a whole bunch of damage from this. Now, that being said, I don't know if this is a fun commander. I'm hesitant to put this into not fun, but I'm going to put this in fun in the 99. I probably wouldn't run this as a commander personally, so I think I'll put that in the fun in the 99. If you have someone in your play group, though, who's always playing Storm or always playing like eggs, sleeve this up. Show them a good time. Next up is Nyla, Shiru Sleuth. I remember Nyla. 5-mana 4/5 Mole Beast. When Nyla enters, exile up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard. If you do, you lose X life and create X clues, where X is that card's mana value. At the beginning of your end step, if you control no clues, return target card exiled with Nyla to its owner's hand. Okay, this is interesting. So you'll exile anyone's creatures. It can be yours, it can be your opponent's. You'll lose a bunch of life and make a bunch of clues. That's sick. If you have no clues, you can return that creature to its owner's hand. So if you exile your own creatures, and make, I don't know, 10 clues, you lose 10 life. But I like clues in Commander. I like clues a little bit more than card draw in a lot of situations, just because they are game objects. They're more susceptible to like artifact hate, obviously, like farewells. But you can draw when you need them, and it's not necessary that you need all that card advantage right now. And there are things that can be sacrificed to cards like Deadly Dispute. This is a fun commander. It's graveyard hate, which is like great. So it is definitely fun in the 99. It's expensive at 5 mana, but you do get a bunch of clues. And if you have like KCI or something, you can sacrifice all those clues, get a whole bunch of mana, maybe recast the thing that goes back into your hand, put it out. If it's like an artifact creature, sacrifice it to KCI. And just, I think there's some like loops you can do with this that are interesting and not the usual like KCI nonsense. I'm going to put this in the fun tier. Next up is the Fire Nation Salt Shaker. 4 mana, 6/3 vehicle with trample. When the Fire Nation Drill enters, you may tap it. When you do, destroy target creature with power 4 or less. And you can pay 1 generic permanent your opponent's control, lose hexproof and indestructible until the end of turn. This is a 99 card. Play it in Greasefang, play it in your vehicle decks. This is not an interesting commander at the helm of any deck, in my opinion. Fun in the 99. Next up is Avatar Roku Firebender. 3 and triple red for a 6/6 human avatar, another card for Colossal Dreadmaw. Whenever a player attacks, add 6 red mana until end of combat. You don't lose this mana as steps end. 3 red, target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn. So you attack with this, you can then fire, like super fire breathe twice, where you're giving probably Roku or some trampling creature or first strike creature +6/+0. I think this is definitely I'm gonna put this in could be fun. I would put this in a could be fun tier. I'm not quite sure what to do with it. Like 6 mana is a lot. And whenever a player attacks, so it's whenever any player attacks, you add 6 red. So it's not just you, which is very good. Horizon Stone to like hoard all that mana. Gemstone Array is the same thing. You can hoard it on charge counters. This is a could be fun commander. I'm curious to see what people do with it. Again, I'm just not sure what I would personally want to do. Maybe equipment if you can hold on to the red mana. Next up is Chong and Lily Nomads. 4 mana, 3/3 human bard ally. Whenever one or more bards you control attack, choose one. Put a lore counter on any number of target sagas you control. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn for each lore counter among sagas you control. Interesting. Now, in the middle of this, we're going to see how many red bards there are. I'm just curious. Bard, CI, red, legal, commander. So there are, aside from Chong and Lily, there are 11 commander legal mono red bards, which is not 0, and that's not including changelings. So you could build mono red bards. Now, obviously, jokes aside, you probably want to attack with this to trigger it. It's definitely a 99 card for a Sagas deck. I do love this card, though. I'm going to put this in Wanna Build. This is a sneaky Wanna Build for me, because I love the idea. I think we have enough red Sagas, too, right? Type, Saga, CI, red, legal, commander. I mean, we have 33 red Sagas in commander. And then Urza Saga is one of them. So, and like some flip creatures. You could build mono red Sagas. This is going into Wanna Build. I'm interested in this. This seems fun. Next up is Fang Roku's Companion. 5 mana, 4/4 dragon with flying. Whenever Fang attacks, another target legendary creature you control gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is Fang's power. So it pumps another legend. Great in like a Legends Matters deck. When Fang dies, if it wasn't a spirit, return this card to the battlefield under your control. He's a spirit in addition to his other types. So that's cool. It's like a form of Undying, but instead of counters, it cares about the card's type. I think this is a strong card in a Dragon 90, in the 99 of a Dragons deck, a Legends deck. I don't think I would build this as a mono red Legends commander. This is going to go into fun in the 99. There's a ton of great homes for this card, though. And that art is sick. All right, next up is Iroh, Dragon of the West. 4 mana, 4/4 human noble ally. Haste, Mentor. So Mentor is whenever this creature attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature with less power. At the beginning of combat on your turn, each creature you control with a counter on it gains Firebending 2 until end of turn. Interesting. So if you have like a mono red counters deck that just gives things Firebending, love that. This is going in the fun tier. I don't know if I'd want to build this, but I'm excited to see someone play this against me. I love that. Firebending 2 for each creature with a counter on it. Like a Cheshire Road deck, the snake that cares about like modified creatures. I love that in this. Or I love Iroh in that deck, where you have a bunch of modified creatures and Gruul's easy to put counters on it. I like this as a standalone commander. Being able to put like mono red counters isn't a thing that we usually see, but I love the idea of using Mentor in order to put counters on things. You still have access to cards like the Uzalith. And I'm sure there are equipment that put counters and the initiative. Yeah, this is easily top of fun. Not quite want to build for me, but it is like the top end of fun, and I could be convinced. Next up is Ran and Shaw, 5 mana 4/4 dragon, flying, firebending 2. When they enter, if you cast them and there are 3 or more dragon and or lesson cards in your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's not legendary. And then dragons you control have, 3 in a red to give dragons you control +2/+0 till end of turn. Great in a dragons deck. Great if you're doing like Teamer lessons, which we'll get to later on. As a standalone commander, though, is a fun in the 99 for me. I can see the appeal, but I don't think there are enough playable lessons in just red to make this really like fun. And I think there are more interesting mono red dragon commanders. But if you wanted to try it, go for it. Next up is Smeller B Rebel Fighter. 4 mana 3/3 human rebel ally. Weird seeing rebel and ally on the same type line. I don't think we usually see that. And I think maybe Jet had that too. First strike, other creatures you control have haste. When Smeller B attacks, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of attacking creatures. Okay. So it's mono red, you want to attack. When you attack with enough creatures, if your hand is 2 cards, you're attacking with 3 or 4 creatures, you get to draw 3 or 4 cards. Powerful effect. Now, notably, it doesn't have haste. It gives your other creatures haste, but it itself does not have haste. So that is a little bit of a downside. However, I think this is a fun commander. I love the wheel effect. I love, again, how it's conditional, right? It's not, yes, you have to attack with creatures, but you have to attack with several creatures. And if you're dumping your hand and then drawing back up, I think that's fine. I think you're incentivizing combat, incentivizing the game to move forward. Commander, I find, often gets into these like board stalls or like parts of the game where people aren't attacking or people are scared to attack. But this is like, I'm going to attack you and I want to draw cards. So maybe like a tokens deck could be interesting, where you're doing like storm kind of shenanigans and then like empty the warrens, or doing red spells to just like make a bunch of cheap fodder creatures, dump your hand, attack with a bunch of stuff, refill your hand. I think there's a lot of possibilities with this. This is definitely like a fun commander for me. Next up is Zao the Moonslayer. 2 mana 2/2 with Menace. Non-basic lands enter tapped. I hate that only because I am the greedy mana-based player. 7 generic, put a conquest counter on Zao. And then as long as Zao has a conquest counter on him, non-basic lands are mountain. So if you want to play Magus of the Moon in the command zone with a few more steps, I guess you can do that. This is a fun in the 99 commander. I would not be through. I'm a sicko, so I probably wouldn't mind playing against this in commander, especially with like my 4-color deck that is 2 basics in it. But I also understand that that is not the norm for people, and I think land hate is fine. Like, I think the non-basics entering tapped, I think, is like a fine ability. I just don't think a lot of people are going to want to play against that in a casual game of commander. So it's going to go in the fun in the 99, not in not fun, because I still think a like 2/2 menace is a fun stat line. Maybe it's a cop out. I just like Blood Moon. Next up is Zuko Avatar Hunter. 5 mana 4/5 human noble with reach. Whenever you cast a red spell, create a 2/2 red soldier creature token. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Could be fun commander for me. It's any red spell, so that's nice. I'm sure there's plenty of ways to go infinite. I wish the soldiers had a little bit more flavor than just being 2/2 red soldiers. I wish they were maybe firebenders, but I'm going to put this in could be fun. Next up is Zuko Firebending Master. 2 mana 2/2 human noble ally with first strike. Firebending X, where X is the number of experience counters you have. Whenever you cast a spell during combat, you get an experience counter. Now, this is a card I like. So again, it's great in the 99 of a Mizzix deck, where you already have experience counters. And on top of that, you can use this red mana to cast instants. You can use this as a standalone commander, where you're casting mono red like combat trick stuff, or burn spells, or cards with buyback. So do we actually have any red cards with buyback? let me know also if you want to like watch me do my Scryfall searches. So we do have some buyback red spells. Haze of Rage is notable because it has Storm. It's a 2-mana sorcery. Oh, it's a sorcery. Ignore everything I just said. Reiterate is an instant with buyback for 3. You have Shattering Pulse to destroy an artifact with buyback. Not quite as interesting. Searing Touch deals 1 damage to target creature or player for 1 red. And you can buy back for 4. So you can buy back instants. I don't know. I think this is an interesting commander. I'm gonna put this in the top end of fun. Again, I don't think I want to build a mono red combat trick commander, but I want to see someone play this. I'm excited to see someone do this. And I also think it's great in the 99 of just any deck. Also, again, you don't have to cast spells during your combat. You can use combat tricks on your opponent's creatures to get surprised, like use your opponents as removal spells for your other opponents. So that's a thing that you can do. I had the idea, I think like a card like Berserk, for example, it's a whole other discussion, but cards like Berserk I think are just really good and should probably see more play. I know they're expensive. All right, anyways, tangent aside. Next card. Next up, we're on to green, speaking of Berserk, with Avatar Kyoshi Earthbender. 5 and triple green for a 6/6 human avatar. During your turn, Avatar Kyoshi has hexproof. At the beginning of combat on your turn, Earthbend 8, then untap that land. So, that's cool. Earthbend 8 is huge. It's a lot of counters. If you Agatha Soul Cauldron just dodged a ban in standard, but has gone down in price. So if you're interested in building an Earthbend deck, I would pick up an Agatha Soul Cauldron. As for this commander, I think this could be fun. It's a big green stompy commander that untaps a land. Like, you're already going to do big green stompy things, but having an 8/8 land seems pretty good, especially if you're doing land creature stuff where you're able to buff all your land creatures and then use this as a finisher. And it's not so oppressive or like so overpowered that the table is going to like moan and it's coming out. And you're in green, so you can just pay the commander tax. Next up is Boomy Electrocentric Earthbender. I can't. How do you say that word? I wish this was a bit eclectic. Oh, eclectic. I don't know why I've never seen that word spelled out before. I swear, I can read. Eclectic Earthbender. 5 mana 4/4 human noble ally. Boomy enters Earthbend 1. Cool. Whenever Boomy attacks, put 2+1/+1 counters on each land creature you control. Great with Ashaya, Soul of the Wilds. Soul of the Wilds, where she turns all of your non-token creatures into lands. Great in an Earthbend deck. Great if you're doing like a manland deck. This seems pretty fun. I'm going to put this in like the back end of the fun tier, I think. I like it. I think it's like the back end of fun, though. All right, next up is the Cabbage Merchant. 3 mana 2/2 human citizen. Whenever your opponent casts a non-creature spell, make a food. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, sacrifice a food. Whenever tap 2 untapped foods you control, add 1 mana of any color. So it's a Mystic Remora, but for food, I guess. I'm sure CDH players are salivating over this card. So the issue I have with it is it's reliant on your opponents casting non-creature spells. However, if you have a bunch of untapped food, it should be pretty trivial to just generate enough mana to do some untapped shenanigans. Maybe not in green, but I'm sure there's a way. And whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, you have to sacrifice a food. I like the flavor of this card. I'm going to put this in fun. The flavor of it's great. The benefit is your opponents are going to cast non-creature spells, right? They're going to cast their ramp. They're going to cast their removal. And you get food whenever they do that. And then you can just tap your food to like accelerate. You don't have to sacrifice them or anything. It's great. Now, you can't tap your food to then pay for food because you have to tap the food to sacrifice it, which sucks, but understandable. Yeah, definitely a fun commander. Next up is the Earth King. 4 mana 2/2 human noble ally. When the Earth King enters, create a 4/4 green bear creature token. Whenever one or more creatures you control with power 4 or greater attack, search your library for up to that many basic land cards, put them on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Got this card in pre-release. Card won me every game it came out. Notably, not a lot of games. I went 1 and 2. I was also playing 5-color lessons. That's aside. This card's great. This card's fun. I like its 4 power or more. You get to accelerate if you have a bunch of lands in your deck. This is easily not wanna build, but definitely fun for me. I don't know, I just love ramping like this. It's you get, and it incentivizes combat, which I think is a good thing in Commander. Easily a fun tier commander. Next up is Toph, Earthbending Master. 4 mana, 2/4 human warrior ally, landfall, get an experience counter. That, I'm going to stop reading for 2 seconds. That is a wild line of text to have on a card. And so if you're playing a Marin deck, or I'm sure there's some other green experience counter deck that I'm not thinking of. Is there? There has to be. There must be, right? Anyways, landfall experience counter is a wild line of text to have. Let's continue. Whenever you attack, you earthbend X for X the number of experience counters you have. That's pretty good. If you earthbend one land and you attack with it, it then earthbends another land, which is great. So this might be a hot take. I love this card. This is cool. Is this a could be fun commander, or is this a fun commander? I'm glad it's mono green, so you can't put all of the 2-color experience cards that exist already in it, and you can't put a lot of the ones from the set in the helm of a deck like this, where it's like landfall, get an experience counter. It is a 4 mana 2/4. I'm gonna put this in could be fun. I am excited to see this in the 99 of experience counter decks, but landfall getting experience counter seems like a wild line of text for any deck, especially now that we have enough experience cards to probably just build 5-color experience counters. Like, I think that's a thing that we could just do. So maybe I'll do that. That could be interesting. Or awful. One of the two. All right, next up is Aang Swift Survivor, or Savior. Aang Swift Savior. 3 mana, 2/3 human avatar ally, flash flying. When Aang enters, airbend up to one other target creature or spell. Exile it while we know what airbending does. And then you can pay Waterbend 8 and transform Aang. And on the back is Aang and Law, Ocean's Fury. It's an Avatar Spirit ally. It's colorless, but its color identity is blue-white. 5/5, reach trample. Whenever Aang and Law attack, put a +1/+1 counter on each tapped creature you control. Huge beat stick. Reach trample are powerful like keywords. You pump each tapped creature you control. Notably, it itself also puts a counter on itself because it is tapped when it attacks, and then it is a tapped creature to put a counter. Also notably, this Aang is the only card in the set I could find, and maybe it's the main set, but this is the only card in at least the main set that lets you airbend spells. A lot of them specify non-creature cards or like non-creature permanents or creature cards. This says spells. So you can, if you copy a extra turn spell, let's say, with like a reiterate or like some 2 mana copy, and then you flash this in, you can airbend the extra turn spell. So like it is a little bit more interesting than just the normal airbend. As a commander, I'm gonna put this in the fun in the 99 tier. I think this is a fun in the 99 card. I don't know if I want to build this. It's not bad, right? Like the back of it is like you can build an interesting combat focused like blue-white deck with it, where the front side of Aang is just to get value from a card. Like whenever you cast a spell, do a thing, you can airbend it and then you can cast it again for cheaper, or just as a way to blank removal or help someone out. I've changed my mind. This is going to go in the fun tier. I've changed my mind. All right, next up is Azula, Cunning Usurper. A 5 mana 4/4 human noble rogue. Has firebending 2. So again, this Azula is Dimir, not Grixis. When Azula enters, target opponent exiles a non-token creature they control. Then they exile a non-land card from their graveyard. During your turn, you may cast cards exiled with Azula, and you may cast them as though they had flash, mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. So you steal a thing, you steal a non-token creature, and a non-land card from their graveyard. Now you can use Firebending to copy it. I don't know how many mono black cards have Firebending in the set. So that, if there's enough of those, that's pretty cool. It is only when she enters and she is 5 mana. You can use some like the black reanimation effects like Undying Malice or Feign Death. You can blink her with like Ghostly Flicker in blue or Displacer Kitten. I'm gonna put her in, I think, in the could be fun tier. I think she's a commander that could be pretty fun to play, right? Like, she's removal on a stick, but she is 5 mana in Dimir colors. So she is like expensive in that, like, in relation to how much mana you usually get in Dimir. But I've played expensive Dimir commanders and been pleasantly surprised. So I'm also willing to try her in Xanathar and like my Dimir Theft deck or Grixis Theft deck that I have that I'm like working on. So yeah, I think she's definitely a could be fun commander. Definitely fun in the 99. Next up is Boomy Unleashed. 5 mana, 5/4, human noble ally. Is that a black hole behind? Oh, it's the Eclipse Sun. I'm an idiot. Human noble ally, trample. When Boomy enters, Earthbend 4. And then whenever Boomy deals combat damage to a player, untap all lands you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Only land creatures attack during this combat phase. If you make Boomy a land, you just have infinite lands, or infinite combats if you can connect with like one person. Obviously, if they have enough blockers, yada, yada, yada. However, there is like an easy to go infinite with this. Same thing if you're using, it's the red enchantment for the extra combats that I'm going to definitely not search right now live. Additional combat. I'm sure you're yelling at your screen right now. Aggravated Assault. If you use Aggravated Assault, it's 5 mana, take an extra combats phase. So if you have enough lands that you're attacking with, you can tap them, get in another combat. There's so many things you can do with this. I'm going to put this in the fun tier. I like that it is lands-focused combat. And while it is easy to make Boomy into a land, I still think that's a little bit more interesting than just like the usual like infinite combat stuff. And you actually have to like deal combat damage with Boomy. If you give him double strike, though, you get 2 combats. Next up is Firelord Ozai. 4 mana, 4/4 human noble. Whenever Firelord Ozai attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, add an amount of red equal to the sacrificed creature's power. Until end of combat, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Or steps end, not phases, because it's during combat. 6 mana, exile the top card of each opponent's library. Until end of turn, you may play one of those cards without paying its mana cost. Okay, so you want to sacrifice expensive, like high-powered creatures to get a bunch of red, and then use that red immediately to exile cards from your opponents to then cast their stuff. Ozai has to attack to do this, so I think that's fine. I like that. You need big enough red creatures, or you don't even really need big enough red creatures. You just need big enough creatures to get enough red to do this. I like that this isn't firebending, technically, which is like weird that it's not just like firebend. You may sacrifice a creature. If you do, you firebend X. So I don't know why they phrased it that way. I feel like that'd be a little bit more clean, but maybe not. Maybe in testing they realized like it's a little too confusing. So 6 mana, exile the top card of each opponent's library. I'm gonna put this. Ooh, this is hard because I like sacrificing creatures, right? I like that you have to like get rid of a thing, and you can just whiff on this too from your opponents, right? Like you can just hit 3 lands, and while you do get to play one of those cards without paying its mana cost, which is great. So if it is a land, you do get to play it. The randomness of it, I enjoy. The concern that I have is with infinite mana, you do just exile everyone's library at like immediately. So I'm gonna put this in could be fun. This could be a fun commander. I could see infinite combo stuff with this that you're just exiling, enough of your opponent's cards where you can oops into a combo enabler for like your thing, or if you're maybe betting on the fact that you'll hit a creature to sacrifice for mana. I'm sure there's gonna be some combo with this that play it. You have infinite like mana, you win the game on the spot. There's also going to be moments where you steal a card from your opponent and you accidentally win the game on the spot, and that is more interesting to me. So this is a could be fun commander. Next up is Iroh Tea Master, 3 mana 2/2, human citizen ally. When Iroh enters, create a food token. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have target opponent gain control of target permanent you control. When you do, you create a 1/1 white ally creature token. You put a +1/+1 counter on that token for each permanent you own that your opponents control. So there's like a couple interesting things about this. First, the second half of that text, put a +1/+1 counter on that token for each permanent, or when you do, you create an ally and you put a counter. That's a reflexive trigger. So at the beginning of combat, you have the Iroh trigger go on the stack, where you may give your opponent something. You give them a food. You then have, when you do that, there is this new trigger, even though it's all like one block of text, where you create the ally. If they sacrifice that food in response, before the ally has entered, you do not get the counter. So it's weird. It's a little unintuitive. Maybe, but that's how it works. It's like a reflexive trigger. Something that I thought of while I was working on my fun ranking article over on EDH Rec for this commander, you can give auras away. If you have an All That Glitters, or maybe not that because it cares about how many like auras and stuff you have, or like enchantments, or like a Bear Umbra. Or no, don't give Bear Umbra away either. Also, that's green. If you give auras away that are enchanted to the creature, those will still be enchanted. Just to make sure you're not giving them something that they would benefit from instead of you. Like you want your creature to have the text. So I was thinking you could do like Boros auras, where you're just giving auras away because they can't really move them. You just have to be selective with your auras. Just a thought, or you give them food. This is a commander. This is a wanna build for me. I like that you can go mean with it, right? You can give 9 lives and you could give a bunch of mean crap away. Or you just give permanents that your opponents can't easily interact with that actually give them 0 benefit and don't harm you at all for giving away. And instead you're just getting the benefit of that. Equipment they can like move around, which sucks. Tokens they can sacrifice, especially like artifact tokens. It's like not great. So if you can give them some useless token that they really can't use, like maybe like weapons manufacturing tokens, where when they leave they can, ping stuff, but if they don't have a way of sacrificing artifacts, then there's just this useless pile of munitions like sitting over on their board. So there's a ton of different things you can do with this card. And especially in Commander, it's, giving someone a food token isn't nearly as bad as it might be in 1v1. So this is a Wada build for me, and I specifically like red-white auras. Next up is Katara Water Tribe's Hope. 5 mana 3/3 human warrior ally with vigilance. When Katara enters, you make a 1/1 white ally creature token. And then you can waterbend X. Creatures you control have base power toughness XX until end of turn. X can't be 0. Activate only during your turn. This is a fun commander. So this reminds me of a mirror entity, right? But you don't get all the creature types, which could be good or bad. And you get a waterbend for this, right? So you don't have to spend a bunch of mana. Now, notably, the other thing that's really sick with this is cards like Tetsuo Umezawa or Umezawa Fugitive. The blue card that says creatures with power 0, 1 or less can't be blocked. So you're able to turn all your things into 1/1s, swing, before damage, waterbend, make them all big. If they all have vigilance, where you can spend like 1 untapped mana to do this, attack, and then you can tap some of your vigilant creatures down, or just a little bit more mana, and suddenly you have like this pseudo unblockable army just cracking in. Now, it does suck. It can only be during your turn, right? So you can't dodge like toxic deluges or Asterial Commands or Dusk to Dawns, like those very like peculiar board wipes that care about the power of your creatures. You can't dodge those. on other people's turns. However, you can also play, not Toxic Deluge, you can play these other board wipes though on your turn and nerf your creatures so you can dodge the board wipes, right? You can make it so you austere your command and you make your creatures either bigger or smaller depending on what you need in order to make it essentially a one-sided board wipe. Card's fun, also great in an allies deck. I don't think I would build it personally, but I can see the application and I think it's cool being able to manipulate the power and toughness of creatures. Also, it makes Skull Clamp really good if you make all your stuff into 1/1s. All right, next up is Low and Lee Royal Advisors. 4 mana, 3/3 human advisors. Whenever an opponent discards a card or mills one or more cards, put a +1/+1 counter on each advisor you control. 2 and a Dimir hybrid, so blue-black hybrid. Target player mills 4. Well, if you want to do a Persistent Petitioners deck, this sure is an option. So I'm going to put this in not fun. I think I don't want to see this. Again, I'm probably a sicko and I really will play against anything, but this does not seem like an enjoyable experience for me. Actually, hold on. I'm taking that back. I play a lot of graveyard decks. This is going to go into could be fun. No, this is tough. I want to put this in not fun, but I'm going to put this in not fun. I'm going to stick to my gut. I'll play like graveyard decks against it and be fine with that. But that without that caveat, this is not a commander that I generally want to sit across from, especially if they're doing like brewback mill nonsense. I don't love playing mill in commander, playing against it in 1v1, I don't care. But in commander, not a huge fan. And I understand the graveyard's like an additional resource, basically, right? So like even if they mill you, it's not always a bad thing. It's just like not what I like playing against in a casual game of commander. All right, next up is Ozai the Phoenix King, a 6 mana 7/7 human noble, trample, firebending 4 and haste. Great keywords. If you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes red instead. Great. And Ozai has flying and indestructible as long as you have 6 or more unspent mana. Okay. So comes down, immediately gives you 4 red. If you have any way of getting 2 extra mana, immediately becomes flying and indestructible, which is great. And any unspent mana just becomes red. So I think this is the first time we're seeing this for red mana. We have black mana with 5-color Omnath, colorless with Krufix, and colorless with Horizon Stone. So I think, oh no, Assault and Battery is from Spider-Man, also has the same text. So we now have 2 cards that care about that, which is cool. I think this is a fun commander. I mean, it's expensive for a Rakdos commander, right? It's 6 mana, but if you look at it, he's kind of a 2 mana commander. Obviously, if you play him and he gets removed immediately, that's unfortunate for you. But if you can play this and swing, he essentially just costs 2 black mana to cast. So I think the cost is fine. Flying and indestructible are powerful keywords if you just keep 6 mana floating in your pool. That is like easy to do. And if you hoard it with cards like Neheb, where you can get like a lot of mana, right? Like start pumping in the red mana to your pool, red X spells. This is a fun commander. Next up is Sokka Bold Boomeranger, 2 mana 1/1 human warrior ally. When Sokka enters, discard up to 2 cards and draw that many. And whenever you cast an artifact or lesson, put a +1/+1 counter on Sokka. This is like, we've seen this effect, like not with lessons, but with artifacts on like 2 mana or 3 mana cards so much in the past like 2 years. They're all pretty interchangeable. Yeah, he loots. This is a fun in the 99 card. Like if you don't have to play this, like there's so many different options of like cards you can play. And the issue is a lot of them are, actually, I don't know if that's true. I want to say a lot of them are probably also artifacts in addition to their other types, so it's like more beneficial. I don't know if that's true. I feel like we have so many cards exactly like this. I'm just like, I don't care. All right, next up is the Lion Turtle. 3 mana 3/6 Elder Cat Turtle. Hey, I didn't realize it was it's a lion, so it's a cat. That makes sense. I played with this in pre-release. Vigilance Reach. When it enters, you gain 3. The Lion Turtle can't attack or block unless there are 3 or more lesson cards in your graveyard. Add 1 mana of any color. great in the 99, kind of boring as a commander. It's not it's similar-ish to Arithmethes, but Arithmethes is a much bigger body and adds more mana. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like the biggest comparison. I like the 3 life, I guess, but this is a great card for your lessons deck if you're building 3-color lessons or 5-color lessons. So fun in the 99 it goes. Next up is Toph, the Greatest Earthbender. 4 mana 3/3 human warrior ally. When Toph enters, Earthbend X, where X the amount of mana to cast her, spent to cast her. Land creatures you control have double strike. So as she dies, if you cast her from the command zone more, you get to Earthbend bigger and bigger things. Land creatures you control having double strike is great. This is a fun commander. That's all I have to say on it. It's fun. I like that you can do any combat damage triggers with your lands. You get more of them, or you just get a beat face with the lands. That seems fun. Love it. A Toph, Hard-Headed Teacher. 4 mana 3/4 human warrior ally. When Toph enters, you may discard a card. If you do, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. And then whenever you cast a spell, Earthbend 1. If that spell is a lesson, you put an additional +1/+1 counter on that land. Got this in pre-release. Card slaps, especially in a lessons deck. I played it in both my lesson deck and my rule stompy deck that I made 2 decks anyways. So another like quick rules note with her. Again, that lessons trigger is it puts an additional counter as part of the when you Earthbend 1, you're putting a counter on it to Earthbend, and then it's saying if you do that, you then put an additional counter. So if you have Hardened Scales out, the land would have 4 counters, because it's getting 1 additional from the Earthbend 1, and then another 1 additional for the additional 1. So that's how that works with like cheap additional like counter cards. This is whenever you cast a spell. It doesn't have to be instant or sorcery. It is any spell, you get that benefit. And if it's a lesson, you get more. I love this card. This is like easy wanna build for me. Also because I opened her, but it just kind of benefits you from playing Magic, which is fine. But if you go like for the lessons theme, you do get a noticeable benefit that I think is great. And I think the card's just fun. Like it's just like a fun card. So want to build easy. Next up is Zuko Conflicted, 2 mana 2/3 human rogue. At the beginning of your first main phase, choose one that hasn't been chosen and you lose 2 life. So you can draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Zuko, add a red, and then exile Zuko and then return him to the battlefield under an opponent's control. All right, flavor of this card's really good. I like this effect. It does take a while to kind of get enough benefit from it, but then once you exile him, if you have ways to just sacrifice him at instant speed and then use again these cheap black recursion effects, Feign Death, Undying Malice, then you could just bring him back to your under your control. Great. I think this is a fun commander. He's like flavorful. I love the art. 2 mana 2/3 is like a pretty good stat line. You get some benefit. I'll put this in the fun tier. Probably like the bottom end of fun. Pardon me. The Walls of Bossing say 8 mana 0/30 wall with Defender. Other permanents you control have indestructible. It's a wall. It dies to Overkill from Final Fantasy, the black instant that gives things -0, 0, and then -9,999 defense or toughness. Oh my god, I'm so tired. I don't know if I want to build this as a commander. This is probably fun in the 99 of a lot of decks though, so I'm gonna put it in fun in the 99. It's a giant wall. That's sick. Next up is Aang and Katara. So this is a 6 mana 5/5 human avatar ally. Whenever Aang and Katara enter or attack, create X 1/1 white ally creature tokens, where X is the number of tapped artifacts and or creatures you control. So so I love these like like ship cards. So because Aang and Katara care about waterbending and like airbending with allies, or not airbending with allies, but care about allies. Like Aang makes allies with some of his cards and Appa, and then Katara does the waterbending stuff. You get a whole bunch of ally tokens where if you've tapped a bunch of stuff to waterbend, you get a huge benefit. I like this card. I want to build a Bant commander. I finally picked up Bant, like OG Bant duels, so I'm excited to build a Bant commander. I've been looking for one. I might do Aang and Katara. I think I'm gonna put this in Wanna build. It is super straightforward, but you get to play a bunch of cards from the set that I love, so it's gonna go in Wanna build. I'm a sucker. Aang at the Crossroads. This is another contender for me. 5 mana, 3/3 human avatar ally with flying. When Aang enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card with mana value 4 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. So that's just good. You just 5 mana, and if you can get a 4-drop, you get 9 mana worth of like value. Sick. Whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield, transform Aang at the beginning of the next upkeep. So notably not your upkeep, it's your opponent's upkeep. But if a creature dies, or if you flicker it or blink it, it becomes Aanged Destined Savior. It is a 4/4 avatar ally with flying. Land creatures you control have vigilance. At the beginning of combat on your turn, Earthbend 2. So it's a weird like combination of like front and back, right? So you get this just creature into play. So you just get this benefit of just having Aang enter. And then on the back, you care about like earthbending and land creatures having vigilance. So it's a weird, like, you get to cheat stuff into play, but if you care about land creatures, then how many creatures do you have? Not how many creatures you have in your deck. It's just like a weird, like, combination of effects. But I do really like the fact that you do get to just put a creature into play. So that's just like good value. And then being able to earthbend 2 every turn and have your land cards have vigilance, and if they die they get to come back, so you get to trigger landfall again. So it's like a weird landfall commander that also can blink. And notably, if you're doing like Bant blink with this, let's say you don't care about the lands having vigilance part, if you blink your lands, you can do like landfall like blink comp, like a landfall blink deck. I'm gonna put this in the fun tier. I don't think I'm going to build this as a commander. I think I like Aang and Katara more. But this is interesting, like, what you want to do with it. You could also just blink Aang and never really care about flipping him. Like, you do have to flip him, but if you take the backside and just flip him and flicker him again, you could get the front. So, also Agatha's Soul Cauldron. If you have another transform creature, you can just keep transforming him back and forth, which is funny. Next up is Firelord Azula. A 4 mana 4/4 human noble with firebending 2. Notably, this is actually Grixis because it has red its mana cost. Whenever you cast a spell while Firelord Azula is attacking, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. I know a lot of people are building this. I'm going to put this in fun, but I do love the idea of like a Grixis combat trick deck. I love the idea of Grixis Burn with this. It is more restrictive than your normal like copy spells because you have to attack with her. But while she's attacking, you get to copy spells. And that is more interesting than cards like Calamax and Temur where it has to be tapped. You're like, oh, that's hard. I have to tap bit. This, you have to attack. You have to put her in danger. If you're doing this, you're probably not really putting her in danger when you're attacking, or you're just kind of winning. But this is a fun card. I love, also the art's great. It's just like a all-around like great card. Next up is Firelord Zuko. 3 mana 2/4 human noble ally, firebending X, where X is Firelord Zuko's power. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, and whenever a permanent you control enters from exile, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So kind of like the Aang and Katara card. This is a little bit like, I think not more flavorful, but I like that you want to airbend stuff because you want to cast spells from exile, or if a permanent enters, if you flicker it, you got to put a counter on all your creatures. This is great. It's like a Cathar's Crusade that is a little bit more reasonable, unless you use cards like Ghostway or Eerie Interlude, where you're flickering your whole board with Zuko, and then you're getting a whole bunch of counters. And you get a Firebend X for potentially a lot of red, which you can then use to cast creatures at instant speed if they have flash, then they're airbent. Airbent. I'm saying airbent. So yeah, there's a lot of like really like cool things you can do with this. I dig this card a lot. This is easily a fun tier for me. I'm not interested quite in it, but definitely fun. Sorry about that. I'm getting over a cold and I have to keep pausing to like sniffle or cough or clear my throat. Iroh Grand Lotus is a 6 mana 5/5 human noble ally with Firebending 2. During your turn, each non-lesson instant and sorcery card in your graveyard has a flashback cost equal to that card's mana cost. Okay. So you get a flashback stuff for free. Not for free, but you don't like have to upcharge for it. During your turn, each lesson card in your graveyard has flashback for 1. So 1 generic. You get a flashback every lesson in your graveyard. That is an incredibly powerful effect. You unfortunately do lose them. But how does flashback read? Let's look up Faithless Looting. It's as it resolves, right? You may cast this from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. So my thought is like, if you have a way of like copying it and then returning it to your hand, I think you could still a spell casting using flashback will always be exiled afterward, whether it resolves this counter or leaves a stack in some other way. Okay. So never mind. Can't do anything cute like that according to the rules. That's okay though. Still, like getting Expedition Mascot Expedition Mascot. What is it? Mascot Exhibition. The 7 mana sorcery from Strixhaven where you make a bunch of tokens. You can do that for 1. He has Firebending 2. So any of the new instant speed lessons, you get to just cast 2 of those during your turn. And the lessons in this set are a lot better than from Strixhaven. These are a lot better. This is an easy wanna build commander for me. I'm excited to build it and then realize that lessons still aren't great in commander, but we're gonna try it. I love Iroh as a character. I like this card. I like that there are some lessons like Bloodbending that are kind of cracked, but a lot of them are just like good on-rate cards that we now have additional benefit for playing when they're in the graveyard. Like, how many lessons do we have in Teamer? Legal Commander. I think we have 49 lessons. So we have plenty of lessons to like build an actual deck with them. Next up is Katara the Fearless. 3 mana 3/3 human warrior ally. If a triggered ability of an ally you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So a like quintessential ally commander. I'm gonna put this in probably in the fun of the 99. That might be blasphemous. I don't want to play this as a commander. I want to put this in the 99 of all of my ally decks. It kind of reminds me of like Yarok, where I think because of its effect, it will just have a target on its back. It will have a target on its back. And I'd rather not have my commander be constantly removed like that if I can avoid it. So I'll have ways of recurring it or protecting it. But as a commander, I would rather play cards that don't require me to then have allies. I'd rather have cards that generate me allies. Next up is Mayan Zuko. 4 mana 3/5 human noble ally with Firebending 3. You may cast ally spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. So you can Firebend, use that use that red mana to then instant cast allies. That's cool. Again, I like this card a lot. Or I like these like Mayan Zuko, Aang Katara, and then just Toph. Sorry. I think this is a fun commander. I'm not going to build it personally, but you get to cast allies or artifacts, which is also like pretty huge. Just being able to blanket have a like Grixis commander that lets you cast artifact spells at instant speed. We have that effect, but usually it's on like a colorless commander or a more restrictive color. But we now have access to all 4 colors, or not all 4, 3 colors for this. And Grixis you can use cards like Goblin Welder really efficiently. So if you have ways of, I don't know actually if that even matters. I'm getting a little tired. Yeah, card's great. I'm gonna put this in the fun tier. Next up is Sokka and Suki. So 3 mana 3/3 human warrior ally. Whenever Sokka and Suki or another ally you control enters, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to that creature. And then whenever an equipment you control enters, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. I have been wanting to build an equipment deck for so long, and I really want to build them as an equipment commander. The issue is I have 3 Jeskai decks already. I don't know if I should have a 4th. I probably will. So the other Sokka we talked about early on in the video goes great in this deck. This is I like this a lot. It's a go white equipment strategy. My issue I've always had with like equipment commanders is the fact that you generally want to suit up like one or two creatures. But with this, if you're playing cheap equipment that are like 0 mana equipment that you can get back to your hand or airbend, cast them again. Maybe not 0 mana equipment if you don't want to airbend those. But if you flicker equipment, you get to make ally tokens. And then these cheap disposable allies get to hold your equipment instead of having all of it on one big threat that when it's removed, you then have no board presence. And on top of that, if you flicker equipment that like for Mirrodin, right, that also come in with tokens or the job select ones, you then have even more tokens. So this suddenly your Jeskai equipment deck is now a Jeskai token deck, and you just have like maybe one token with evasion that you can suit up and be like, I have all these cheap idiot blockers, but here's a 7/7 pro whatever token. I think this is sick. This is going in Wanna build. I don't know if I will build it because I really don't know if I can have a third Jeskai deck, but I do want to build this. Next up is Sokka, Tenacious Tactician. 4 mana 3/3 human warrior ally, menace and prowess. Other allies you control have menace and prowess. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. So I opened this in pre-release, played it, and it slapped. Again, another really good equipment commander. It goes into the 99 of Sokka and Suki, because now when you cast an equipment, you get a 1/1, and then when it enters, you get a 1/1, and then they have prowess, so as you cast more equipment, your ally tokens are growing, and if they're equipped, then they get... But this is like a Monastery Mentor from the command zone, but you get access to more colors. And Menace. Like, this is a fun commander for sure. I need, if I build another Jeskai commander, this won't be it, but if I build Sokka and Suki, this is definitely going into that deck, 100%. Card. I'm also tempted just to put this in Jeskai Super Friends. Its mana cost is my biggest concern, being 4 mana. But again, being able to, if I need to, just cast Planeswalkers to attack, or cast Planeswalkers and I get 1/1s with prowess that can block for my Planeswalkers, I love it. Next up is Toph, the First Metal Bender. 4 mana 3/3 human warrior ally. Non-token artifacts you control are lands in addition to their other types. At the beginning of your end step, Earthbend 2. So, notably, these lands don't get the ability to tap for mana because of they don't become like forest or island, they become land. Now, if you use Chromatic Lantern, or there's a 2 mana card in the set that like lets your stuff tap for mana, lands tap for mana of any color, then you can. These like get those abilities. Blood Moon's really funny against this because suddenly all of your non-token artifacts are basic mountains. Or just just mountains, I think, right? I don't think Blood Moon makes them basic. Yeah, it turns all of your non-token artifacts just into mountains. So that might seem like a downside, but if you think about what Blood Moon does, is it takes all of your 0 mana artifacts and makes them into Mox Rubies, which is actually kind of wild to think about. That we now have this way of, you can use just 0 mana artifacts, and we now have 3 Blood Moon effects between Blood Moon, Magus of the Moon, and the other legend from the set, potentially, if you get enough counters on him, to do like an Urza's thing, right? Like an mono blue Urza where you can tap them. But these are lands. Like, these are harder to get rid of because I think they just become lands. I think they lose all of their types. So do they lose their type? Lose any other land types and abilities? I don't remember if they lose. This is such a weird rules question. Does Blood Moon make them lose artifact? Toph, the first. You think I should know this? Metal Bender and Blood Moon. So I don't know if they lose their artifact type. I don't remember how it works. So they might just be artifact lands. But tangent aside, like, yeah, I think this is a fun commander. I'm not going to build this personally. I know a lot of people are really hyped to build this. I think it does lead to some interesting combos. This is like the top end of fun for me. And if you do want to build like a Blood Moon deck to Blood Moon yourself, you now have a really like a more interesting thing to do with it, where now all of your 0-mana artifacts are just blood or just Mox Rubies basically, especially if they keep the artifact creature type. But I don't remember if they do or not, because like Urza's Saga is still a saga, I think. Blood Moon does some funky things. Let me know in the comments if you know the answer to this. All right, next up is Avatar Aang, a 4-mana 4/4 human avatar ally, flying, firebending 2. Whenever you waterbend, earthbend, firebend, or airbend, draw a card. Cool. And then if you've done all 4, transform Aang. And Avatar Aang becomes Aang, Master of Elements, which is a Avatar ally with flying. It's a 6/6. Spells you cast cost Wooburg less. This does reduce generics, so anything that is 5 mana and only has 1 of each pip or generic is free. I thought it didn't because of how Morophon reads, but Morophon specifies it only reduces colored. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this effect, it specifies it only reduces colored. So I was colored mana, so I was confusing it. Anyways, at the beginning of each upkeep, you may transform Aang, Master of Elements. If you do, gain 4 life, draw 4 cards, put 4 +1/+1 counters on him, and he deals 4 damage to each opponent. So if you flip him, you get to cast a whole bunch of stuff for free, turn him back over. You then get to refill your hand from all the stuff you probably just cast. Love that. This is... So my issue with this card is it is more flavorful, and more interesting than the Spider-Man one. But I don't know where I want this. I think I put this in fun. You have to like work for this, right? You have to earthbend, airbend, and firebend, water. Like you have to like put all of these cards in your deck. So there's going to be a critical mass of like how much of each thing you need. Because I don't know if there are any cards that we saw, and maybe there are, but that do 2 of them, right? There's no card that like earthbends. There's like no Aang that earthbends and airbends, or firebends and waterbends. So I think that's very good. Like I'm glad that that's very intentional, that there aren't cards. I mean, obviously for flavor purposes, you can't have cards that like bend multiple things because only the Avatar can do that. But I'm glad that there aren't Aangs specifically that let you like air, water, bend, and then air, water, earth, bend. And then like there's not the progression on his cards to make it where this is easier to do. This will be a little tricky to do. I do like that whenever you do a bending thing, you get a benefit, which is like, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to put this in fun. This is a fun commander. I don't know if I want to build it necessarily. Maybe as like you could just build him as an ally commander too, right? You could just build 5 color allies, and sometimes you'll end up triggering all of these and transforming him. There is also a card. Is it like Mist something or other? It is Moon Mist. It's a 2-mana instant that you transform all humans. So if you have that, you can just flip this for 2 mana, and it's also a fog. So maybe, I mean, Moon Mist has been going up in price. It is now a $3 common from Innistrad. Like, I would probably pick when did it spike? It had to have spiked. Oh, it's always been, oh no, it spiked like in May. Yeah, so if you have one of those laying around, Moon Mist, it's a really cool card. You can just flip this or at instant speed. Just a little piece of tech I wanted to point out. But yeah, I do like that at least it isn't like, you're not able to do this instantly, where you have to kind of work for it, and it is very telegraphed, so I'll put this in fun tier. And then finally, we have Heibai, Forest Guardian, 4 mana, 4/4 Bear Spirit. When they enter, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a shrine. You may put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. You can pay Wooburg, tap for each legendary enchantment you control. You create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token with this token can't block or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. So we have a new Shrine Commander that is not Go Shintai. It specifically, because Go Shintai reads, let me just pull, I'm just going to look up Go Shintai real quick. Go Shintai. So Go Shintai specifies it makes shrine tokens whenever shrines enter. And then this just lets you look for shrines. And then Go Shintai also reanimates enchantments. So Go Shintai is like way more powerful, I think, because you can just get cards like Omniscience back, obviously, right? Like just very powerful enchantments. This lets you cheat on whatever shrines you find. And then also there's like this legendary enchantment sub-theme where you get to make a whole bunch of spirits. Now, they obviously could have done the easy way out and made them enchantment spirits, but I'm kind of glad they didn't. I'm glad they kept the flavor of this card. I love the art. I think I put this in Wanna Build. I've thought about doing a shrine deck, like 5-color shrines, but I'm like, oh man, I don't know what I'd like. Go Shintai is fine, but it feels like kind of just, you can kind of ignore like the second part of Go Shintai's thing about shrines because you just get to return an enchantment. But Heibei is like, hey, you cast it, you get a shrine. And now if you have a bunch of legendary enchantments, you get a bunch of spirits, which shrines are also legendary enchantments. So yeah, this is, I think, a Wanna Build commander for me. And that wraps up my Avatar fun ranking. Thanks for sticking through all the way through the video. Check out my podcast, the Magic Boomers Podcast with my co-host Alex, linked down in the video description below. Like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what your favorite commander from Avatar is. What are you looking forward to building? Thoughts on the set compared to Spider-Man? This set feels like such a better UB set, and I'm glad that this set is as flavorful and as good as it is. This feels like a standalone Magic set. It doesn't feel like UB. We know it is if you've like watched Avatar, but yeah, love it. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. This has been Ben with Bathroom Brews MTG, and remember, always wash your hands.